What else does Enchantress offer to this lineup, though, or even just the game in general? Because it feels every time we've seen her, it's mainly just been to counter another pick.
Yeah.
It's often
the
against the
lanes,
Beastmaster,
Yeah.
but this game around, it's secure the lanes, very strong in lane. Grabbing neutral creeps is good. It also pressures towers very early on. We see, like, I think it was Puppy who really started to do it with the Ents, where you just send a creep on the mid tier 1 tower with level 4 enchant and a medallion, and that creep just like does like 400 damage to a tier 1 mid tower, and it's like,
What?
yeah,
Yeah.
it feels kind of crazy. Basically,
insane.
someone's forced to be there just to defend against this Enchantress creep. SMG take Tide. I think that's a hero OB.Neon probably also wanted for themselves, particularly because they could have picked it knowing that there's no disruptor this time around.
OB.Neon have picked Tide a lot. They are big Tide lovers.
Yeah.
I have to like. No, you've already picked both of your supports though, unless they're going to go really left field and kind of like Eastern Europe go the Weaver in that position 1 role. But it doesn't feel like a
No.
bad Shadow Demon game. If you're able to just disrupt a lot of the stun initiation, again, it's good against the Spirit Breaker, and even just the Soul Catcher against these really high HP heroes like the Tide Hunter, for example, could enable you to burst him down.
Doom looks really good to me too.
Mm.
Doom against Tide, just a BKB hero against the Shaker and Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker ulti goes through BKB, but if you're standing in the middle of a fight with a Doom BKB, he doesn't really want to ulti at Doom.
Mm. And remember, this is something that Palos and Unryu could both play.
Yeah.
So you're not even revealing the entire draft. So yeah, I wouldn't hate the Doom as well. And we do have to remember, of course, that this is, like, if OB.Neon lose this, then their next series against Motivate is potentially to force a tiebreaker. So they need to win this in order to get that little bit of an extra layer of security. And of SMG, of course, playing for that 5 wins, I believe, across the entire season.
Correct.
So pretty high stakes in this one still. And they do end up going for the Doom. Very nicely done, Parker.
Seem too good. The downside of the Doom pick is that you're kind of lacking any playmaking. Like, you're super greedy, but I think against Tide draft you can be greedier. But Tide and Shaker, like, these are heroes that aren't gonna play super aggressive against you. It's just naturally there's gonna be this more passive style of play, and it looks like Spirit Breaker Shaker support. So I feel like you can get away with a lot when that's the enemy support duo. Like, that's pretty lackluster.
I think we might have seen SMG do Roger on the Tide Hunter once.
So 5. Yeah, that makes more sense actually.
Yeah, he was really good on it as well because, you're obviously just this big tanky body and you just run in and ravage and your job is done, basically. So I'm just kind of... The thing that I'm a little bit worried for Neon is that they are, outside of the Conquer, very single target focus. Sure, the Scorched Earth does a little bit, but, Doom, 1 target, Enchantress, single target, Weaver, it's probably a support, so you're not really caring all that much about, the damage potential, whereas there's big AoE on SMG, right? You could have all of the big ultimates coming through from Tide, Earthshaker, and Queen of Pain. So I wonder, are SMG going to go for something that can look to exploit that? Something that, like, I don't know, a Chaos Knight, or I would say a Terrorblade, but you're going up against an Enchantress, right? So you're just going to be able to be punished if you go like this big illusion hero.
Yeah, maybe the small illusion hero like the PL could work, but I mean, Takunka doesn't sound great, but against everything else, PL looks good. PL used to be played all the time against Doom. But for now, typical Doom stuff, you ban the Wraith King right away, and we'll see what they want to go for instead. I think the teams are getting better against playing against Doom. We're seeing Link and Sphere just become way more popular anytime there's a Doom in the game. Pretty good against Kunkka, stops the X catch.
They could still just Razor on SMG, right? One of these heroes that as long as he gets off a couple of his spells and gets doomed, then he doesn't really care. They do ban it out, right? Because great against Ench, Doom, and Kunkka, but they're still going to be pretty quick with going for the Morphling.
Yep.
Morph Shaker, Morph Spirit Breaker. You got plenty to choose from.
Yeah, juicy. And just classic Lincoln's hero, so we'll get that later on against the Doom. And just a hero that can kind of free farm against the Doom. I think that's one of the things you always want to do, is make sure that you have this kind of ranged carry that just has a great time against Doom with a Tide. There's kill threat as well. Gush plus the Morphling base damage can do a lot of damage, so good pick for SMG.
I'm just trying to think as well, like, are they going to go something that's perhaps able to put a bit more pressure onto the Morphling in lane? Because they've still got that option, potentially, of Palos position 1 Doom, if that is how they want to go down.
Dead Drow.
Okay. I mean, you got to make sure you get rid of that Spirit Breaker, that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of melee heroes, so I think the Drow's just like, let's have a good lane, stay far back. Drow, you can always gust to cancel the charge, so...
Looking past the laning phase into late game, which team do you favor to have this one?
Late game, SMG. because you're going to have Spirit
More
Breaker
shaky, yeah.
more. I'd say more likely to be Spirit Breaker, to be honest. I still
Yeah,
feel like
it's
that's
double
even more
charge.
busted,
Yeah.
right? Especially
The
to be able to go
bulldoze.
on to Palace, right? Like, you just charge him, even if he gusts you at the end of it all, it's not going to last for much time at all, right? So you could just consistently stay on top of this Drow Ranger, take him out of the fight entirely.
Yeah. I can see what Neon are doing, and their mid game looks a bit stronger if they can get like a nice fast blink BKB timing on the Doom, and Drow has a good early game. But yeah, they need to close it out in that mid game, or if it goes late, they need to be pretty far ahead.
Yeah, and
On a time crunch.
Yeah.
And I want to see if OB.Neon, they realize, because this is 4 games in a row that we've seen it now, or 3 rather, on Arfu. At around that 12 to 15 minute mark, they just say, hey, we're going to run at the enemy team. You get your Blink Dagger. We're going to give you this space. So are they going to be able to recognize that? Are they going to be able to punish him accordingly?
I do look forward to seeing if anyone is able to punish the Arfu Earthshaker. But game number 2 is well and truly underway. So please, MLP and John, take it away.
Oh, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are indeed back into game number 2 between OB.Neon and SMG, and it is MLP and johnxfire. John, welcome back, sir. Game number 2 is upon us. A very intriguing draft, to say the least, from OB.Neon. John, I'm not sure how to feel about that last pick, Drow, but I'll ask you, how do you feel about it?
I think it has a purpose. Like, as the panel said, there's a really good mid-game spike here for Neon to play with. It's very well protected against, like, 5 melee heroes running up from SMG, so the laning phase is very manageable for Palos. They can look to play off the back of that. They can look to play extra aggressive. I do worry about that late game scaling. The possibilities for SMG are endless, and they have shown us that they can hold on into that point. Bit of a smoke play here, though, but they're not going to commit fully. The D-wards do come out as well. They managed to get the obs, deny their own obs here, and just kind of prevent that movement coming out. So it doesn't look like SMG is going to be able to go for that same play from game 1. But again, SMG does have really great scaling. We saw it in game 1. They can hold on to get that scaling going. I think Neon has to be very aware when you're playing against a Morphling. There's a lot of pressure here on Enryu to really be on point with breaking a Linken's down the line and just getting the Doom off on that key target.
Do you feel like teams are underestimating like this Earthshaker pick for SMG? Because we just keep seeing Arfu make all these plays with this hero, John. And they just keep giving it back the way of SMG. Like, I feel like this is... You're almost asking for it at this point. I mean, mind you, you do have the signature Mamang Daya here in the mid lane of the Kunkka, but you get my point. It seems rather scary to just keep giving this man this shaker.
Yep. And it kind of reminds you of the time when we were covering China. Although, speaking of that shaker, Afu just getting poked here.
Could be in trouble. Fish is going to be there, though, and Palos is not going to get trapped. He's going to be able to get out. They will not be able to keep up with him. Roger would have loved to get in range to be able to connect that gush and hope for a lucky bash out from Raging, but unable to get there.
They didn't manage to really fully punish, and that is great news for Neon. They do manage to start off with a bounty rune advantage here as well. So a 3-for-1 start with that invasion on the triangle, and that sets them up for a really good time. We will see, of course, Palos and Abeng on that bot lane up against Raging and Afu. Dual melee up against dual range. It's going to be a bit hard for SMG to just pressure out. And you are a Spirit Breaker into Ench, so even if you play with that Bulldoze down the line, you do at least have the enchant to slow down. That can make it a bit troublesome for Raging to kind of try to look for that durability from the Bulldoze. Afu, probably off to a really slow game. Just look at Abeng, cutting him off, getting the slow, has the Blightstone to keep trading, and it's going to be a very slow game for that Shaker if this lane holds up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very hard lane for the Shaker. I mean, Enchantress doesn't really lose many lanes per se, and well, now Raging's about to experience the brunt of the force of Abeng as well, as does move in. I'd say just double melee matchup into a double range matchup of Enchantress Drow is always going to be a bit annoying to go into unless you get the jump you're looking for. But I suppose we should have a look at the other lanes while we still have a chance. No, never mind. We are going to have a charge up from Raging. But that may have put him in a bit of an awkward scenario now as the enchant does come out, but they are still lacking the damage to try and deal with the Spirit Breaker. So going back to my point, John, we probably should have a look at the other lanes. Let's have a look at the mid lane. Mamang Daya, of course. No, never mind. We'll go top. Alright, we'll go mid instead. We'll go for the Quap versus Kunkka matchup. John, Mamang Daya, and Moon. We know Mamang Daya, he's great on this hero. It's very hard to underestimate Mamang Daya anymore when he does pick up the Kunkka. John, anything to watch out for in this matchup?
think it's really even. The moment you do get that value point in X from Amangdaya, that's when he can maybe line up for some aggression onto Moon. For the most part, Moon is holding his own. He does opt for the 2-0-1 build, so emphasizing the Shadow Strike. It is a melee hero. You can trade really well against that and kind of make it work.
Yeah, bot lane Afu does end up going down as Bang was there with the enchant, and you just got those frost arrows to slow him down even more. A very tough time here for the bot lane of SMG thus far. Great start though for OB.Neon. I mean, mind you would have loved Palos to pick up the first blood bonus, but who are you to complain, I suppose, is Raging now. Going to be chased out. A Bang, who will have another ensnare, or rather enchant up in just a moment, but the TP is going to be there. I suppose Raging Potato, he can always just charge his way back down to the bot lane if he needs to.
Yep. Not going to cut him off in too much farm. That will give Afu maybe some room to get some levels up, but again, he can't really do much to manage this lane. This is probably the toughest lane for SMG. And as long as Palos gets that initial farm, that mid-game timing the panel was talking about is still set to line up. So good news overall for Neon so far, as they have an early 2k lead from how these lanes are breaking out. There's really not much SMG can stop that, especially on the bot lane.
Yeah, certainly not. How's top lane going? I mean, we haven't really talked about that one at all yet, but mid one and Roger are there against, of course, Enryu on that Doom, and you've got Narman as well on that Pos 4 Weaver. So far, it's seemingly pretty smooth here for mid one. Being said, pretty smooth for Enryu as well. Just no one really contesting each other. Both happy to just free farm up. Rather boring lane, I'd say, this top lane.
Yeah, it's probably the most passive lane. That is generally good news for mid one. You always kind of have to respect the Doom and the fact that we tend to see the Midas build up. Once level 6 is up, that's when it can get dicey. A little bit of an engagement towards mid over to Water Runes. Mamangdaya does manage to find his in the end. And Narman has control over the top, so he can block that off from Moon as well, preventing that early build-up. And this is, again, a bit of a shake-up from SMG. We're very used to seeing Afu win out that rotation, but just hasn't worked out in Ryu.
Oh, I love that little heal. I mean, he was literally standing there taking right clicks from Roger as he was healing. I don't know if he was out healing Roger's damage job, but he was doing a pretty good job nonetheless. You love to see it.
Yeah, it's the silly little thing. Like, it's very mana efficient to heal up that way too, and all.
Oh, Raging. Gonna end up going down bot lane, but top lane, Roger will end up going down to boot. In fact, mid one's not safe either. He'll start strength morphing his way out of this. They haven't got the greatest way of locking him down, but they are still dealing some decent damage. It's like mid one, though, gonna be able to escape, but another 2 great kills here for OB.Neon.
Yeah, it's a big set of kills, I'd say. This does allow them to start to get more of a grip in the lane. I have to appreciate Enryu's build here as well, Mike. Going for 1 point in Devour, 2 in the Scorched Earth, value point in Infernal Blade. Not something you see too often. Most Dooms go for the slower play, looking for the farm with just the Devour Scorched Earth, but this does give them that potential to be aggressive, to punish the Tide when he comes in, to even punish mid one if he's not careful, and they're going to dive him.
Yeah. You got that percentage-based damage here onto mid one as he's trying to strength morph through it. He's just about to make it. It seems they throw another Urn Charge his way. Mid one, he'll waveform north, but it won't be enough. The Urn was proving to be enough damage as bot lane Raging now in trouble once again. Is going to be forced to TP out. And so far, the side lanes, at least for OB.Neon, are just going really well.
Yeah, this is that early to mid-game timing they want to hit. They're enabled on their Doom, they're enabled on their Drow, they're maintaining a good amount of pressure. For SMG, this does mean they need to tone it down a bit for mid one. They need to kind of give him a lane to play with, maybe give him the jungle to farm up on, start building up, hold out, play your slower game. Maybe your aggression really comes in once Raging Potato has 6, and once that kind of lines up with Moon, and when he's ready to jump in with a Sonic Wave. But so far, just gonna have to play it slower. Like, they have a Shaker who's gonna need a blink down the line on the support. They've got the Tide that needs level 6 to really have that turnaround potential. A lot of that takes time. We're still really early into the laning phase. Still at 6.5 minutes in. It's just that Neon's making use of that time well.
Oh, look at the damage output. Mid one, he just cops it so bad. It's not even close. Once they get started with the Infernal Blade out, and that's the setup, and mid one just loses so much of his HP pool as now the salve's cancelled there by Roger. Starman able to get that done on the Weaver, and well, this lane's just not going to get any easier. And with the way things are going at this top lane, Narman's going to have a very early Spirit Vessel as bot lane. Raging's having an even tougher time. He'll try to charge towards Palos, try to pick up that Drow kill as Roger. He's rotated and they've slowed him down, but the Sonic Wave, that's what'll get the job done. Zabeng could not help out. They finally get a bit of revenge here onto the Drow, but now Narman showed up. Raging might just tick out to the earn damage, and he will. Narman does at least find themselves some form of a trade for OB.Neon.
They even managed to catch out Moon's Courier. I mean, it's still a big sacrifice to make losing out on your Drow, but you find something back for it. And that opened up the room to push up top. So they managed to clear that top tier 1 early on, kind of opening up the jungle a little bit more for the Doom to farm up and keep building up on. SMG, they need as much room as possible to get all of their lineup up and running. Mid one's going to take a long time to come online. It's really down to Moon. He needs to be able to run around. He needs to be able to set up with Raging to find some easy pickoffs to buy that space out.
Narman.
Palos.
Getting a bit of a nuisance. In fact, Palos now very, very low. Try to charge him down, but Raging, he's going to get doomed up. Narman, in the meantime, does get Roger on the Tide, and that's just going to be another death. Raging Potato just cannot catch a breakdown of this bot lane, and well, Palos, he will survive through another onslaught.
Now, he didn't manage to get the gust cancellation on the charge, isn't really punished for it. There was no follow-up, no one else to play with Raging, and that cost him another major kill that they could have found. Neon looking great coming out from the lanes here. 7-1, 4K lead already, everything going their way. All of their cores just having a really good lead over the opposing cores. They're starting to pressure the mid as well. Afu's still stuck at level 3. He's a long way from that blink timing, a long way from his 6. Narman's already level 7. A 3-level difference in the pause force.
Massive, massive XP differential here between Narman and Afu. And Afu, he might not make it, John. Looks like he is going to die. Narman will pick up another kill, but it is going to cost him his own life. Moon, he'll appreciate that kill for himself. Still, this Weaver is proving to be just a huge issue. This bot lane, would you believe it, John? They found Raging Potato.
It's a really tough Spirit Worker game like that. He has nowhere to rotate. He has nowhere to really charge. And he still needs farm. Like, he's a long way from Shadowblade, has phase boots, and 3 gauntlets of strength just to kind of tank up. Not enough to really make him durable in these front lines. This is buying space out for Midwin to farm the jungle. Not the quickest process, and Abeng's keeping track anyway with the enchanted creep. So he's taking a camp of his own, keeping track of where Midwin's farming, preventing that snowball effect from ever coming on to the Morphling. And it just opens up way more possibilities. If you're taking these fights and stopping him from farming, you just kind of find everything you want.
Mid lane, they're thinking about going here, SMG. They do have the Ravage up here on Roger to help out, but they might be fighting into a double damage rune very soon. As Mamang Daya, he does bottle that one up. These things are just very scary for SMG with the 4K net worth lead for OB.Neon. It's only set to get worse as now you've got the Midas up on Enryu. The Doom just going to really escalate in terms of net worth, and they'll get started on that mid-tier 1 tower. Not really much in the way of stopping them here, John. I mean, they'll charge Mamang Daya, but I'd highly advise against completing that charge.
Yeah, you just don't have the team fight to defense, and there's enough time for them to respond to the bot push as well. Mamang Daya TP's down with Palace around. They know the Drow showing is not good news. They're actually backing off from that push. They're not finding the tower trades they'd want to here in SMG. Losing mid, losing top tier 1 means the jungle's really just open. Look at Abeng. He's just taking camps. He's got the forward ward. There's no room here for the Morphling to farm, and that just means Midwin's progression is going to be really slow this game.
Well, Enryu is being charged top, but he's chasing down Mid-1 right now as he does have the Doom up. Waveform away from Mid-1, trying to just use the fog to avoid Enryu, but the Doom does connect in the end. Enryu, though, still in trouble and is actually unable to get the kill here onto Mid-1 as he's just running. I mean, Palos will still try, but they don't have the vision. All they have is the information that he's still around with the scan out. But Mid-1's fine. He's just waited out the Doom, and nothing comes of it. In the meantime, across the map, Narman, he's been charged up by Raging, and Raging, I'm sure he's going to enjoy this. Nether Strike into the Sonic Wave. And that'll be another kill to go the way of Moon and the Quap. And I'll tell you, John, with the way this game's gone for SMG, they need every kill they can get right now.
It's not the biggest pick-off, but it's something they desperately need. That does give them a little bit more to play with, just a tad bit. The big issue there is that you could try calling that space for the side of SMG or Neon, but neither Palos nor Mid-1 were farming, so they don't really gain as much from it. Still opens up the bot tower push here for SMG, giving them some jungle space to play in. That opens up the forward jungle for Mid-1 to farm at, as he just doesn't have access up top anymore. And they can kind of take it easy. Just keep building up in Mid-1. He's got the Dragonlance. He's going for the Manta style next. So he does look to be opting for more of a tanky, maybe a right-click build. Going into the Ags afterwards could be an option now. Side of Neon, though, they aren't relenting with his pressure up top. They're just keeping that push going. Palos is showing himself. They just want to take the objectives, take the outputs, and keep shutting down this map.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking at that top lane. Raging's going to charge forward, but Palos, he was just waiting in the fog. Does get the Gunst off into the stun, and that's going to be another death for Raging Potato. His 5th of the game already, John. We're only 13 minutes in. He's almost got two deaths a minute, or rather one.
Yep, it's a tough game. He's trying to get as much space where he can, but it's just not opening up.
It was terrible math, by the way, Jonathan. It was completely off. But thank you for not correcting me, John. I mean, you probably didn't do that on purpose, John. I know how bad you are at math as well, so you probably thought I was right the whole time.
I didn't even glance at the number. I know you said it. I was like, yeah, it sounds about right. He's been dying a lot.
What an analyst you are, John.
That's why we work so well together, Mike. Still, SMG, they're 5k behind at 13 minutes in. That's not a small deficit at all. Now, to be fair to SMG, most of that boils down to Raging sitting at 3.5k, so it's back to the Spirit Breaker. Everyone else is actually fairly evenly farmed with the OB.Neon cores. So I think SMG, even though it looks pretty bad right now, if they can hold out maybe past the 25-30 minutes, that's when they should be set to go with farm scaling in. And that's when you should be happy. So it looks bad now. Just cut your losses. Keep buying space for Mid-1. Keep trying to get him to scale up. Just keep throwing Raging Potato's body forward, basically. Because he's still eventually going to get the Shadow Blade down the line. After a couple of kills, I'm sure he'll find the Ags as well, and they're kind of set to go from there. Narman's just a constant target from Neon. SMG maybe trying to squash this bug one more time.
Yeah, he's going to try and charge. He's going to connect, and now with the Nether Strike, they should have plenty of lockdown, and they will. Take down Narman. Another time here. Mid-1. And luckily does take the kill on the Morphling, and that'll help him catch up a little bit, because he is still quite far behind.
Yeah, he still needs to really build up. I mean, he's only about 200 gold behind Mamangdaya, 200 gold behind Enryu as well, and that's a Doom with Devour. So I think considering that, again, this 5k gold lead is kind of misleading, because it's only because Raging's 3k behind. That's it.
One. There's your Doom out. Nice initiation there from Enryu. They're going to try and charge and help out. He does have the Strength Morph going on this Morphling, so he's still alive as the Fisher. Now going to connect. Both does not connect onto Mid-1, and now the Ravage is there. Mid-1 somehow still alive in the Echo Slam. Arfu, he gets in. Mid-1 has dropped, but a big Sonic Wave out from Moon. It's still not enough, though. Moon's going to go down to boot, but they at least found Palos. Eventually, they will get something, but it's not going to be much, John. It's a 1-for-5 trade in favor of OB.Neon. I mean, they found the Drow, but that's it.
Yeah, they did throw everything out as well. Sonic Wave was out, Ravage, Echo Slam. It's a valiant effort to try to save out their Morphling, but just not enough. There was enough damage coming through with the Doom, with the DOTs coming out, that you couldn't survive that for Mid-1. And they've got to be really cautious about where he's farming. He was farming really forward in that jungle. They did have a ward to protect, but that's on the ramp, not in the high ground. So they didn't spot that movement in. They didn't see that flank, and that made all the difference. The lead does widen up a bit more, and that point I was making earlier about most of the deficit being on Raging, it's not as true now. There is a wider lead now with Enryu and Mamangdaya. Mid-1 needs to avoid these fights. If his team wants to fight, let them go in, but he has to stay protected. He just has to take the safe farm. He can't afford to go that far forward. There's some good vision here from Neon in the bot area that can punish where the Morphling's at. So it's a patience game for SMG. Neon punishes every single time SMG oversteps just a bit, and there's still nothing SMG can do to retake map control. The top jungle is still constantly Abang's playground. has the full solar crest up. They're going hunting as well here. They find Raging again up top.
Of course they do. Poor old Raging Potato looking more like mashed potato this game. John is. He's going to go down, it seems. Trying to charge. We'll keep the follow-up. The Gust is going to connect. Palos still diving deeper and deeper as Narman actually ends up finding Moon across the map. There is another team fight breaking out as Roger is the third to go down again for SMG. So no matter where on the map they are, they just can't catch a break.
No, they're just not... They don't have the same power when they're split up like that. And Neon just has a lot of control with the few heroes they have when they do decide to kind of take these fights across the map. The only good news there for SMG is that mid one is farming. And that's really the only saving grace. He is starting to lag severely behind now. The gap is just growing wider and wider. So that's always going to be a cause of concern. The split push from Neon can come out fast. You've got an Enchantress. You've got a Drow. They can take care of these objectives quickly if they want to commit. But Neon are more than happy to just keep choking out the side of SMG. 10k lead at 18 minutes. That is not trivial anymore. Again, they used to be even. Moon and Mid One were keeping up with the other cores of Neon, but now Moon's lagging severely behind. Raging Potato is basically a support behind the farm of Narman. So you're just having a much better time with these early spikes here on Neon. Although with the blink up on Afu, we've said this many times before, Mike, when his Shaker has that blink, things start to turn around for SMG. We'll have to see. It's a lot of pressure on Afu to kind of make these fights work out for the side of SMG now.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
He's got the blink coming. And OB.Neon, still their game to lose right now. I mean, they are just so far ahead. Henry is getting close to the point where he's got a BKB up. The Dooms just had a fantastic game. If they can't pull this one out, they will not be going to a game 3 as bot lane. They have got the Fisher into the Echo and the Sonic Wave. Gonna take down Enryu. He is top of the net worth board right now. So a very valuable kill there for Moon. Afu though, he's gonna be left behind on the Shaker. But you'd be happy to see him die for the sake of killing off Enryu. Zafu, he's gonna make it as hard as possible, but in the end will go down.
Yeah, they've still got the charge though.
Coming. Do they have enough damage though? Raging? Oh, that's a lot of damage. Never mind. Immediate double bash up from Raging, and that'll do the trick.
It's a big kill, considering the position of Enryu. And that actually does even out the net worth board again. Again, even though you're lagging behind on Raging, he does have the Shadow Blade that pretty much sets you up to kind of have a bounce back and power spike here. Neon do use this time to take Roshan, with Abbing tanking in the front. But again, touchable. Gonna be a simple process in clearing out Roche. And there's no scouting here from SMG. They don't have the vision. They haven't gotten the scan anymore to kind of figure this out. So a nice secondary life for Palos. That should allow them to take more objectives. I think for Neon, they have to take these objectives, Mike. We're at 20 minutes. And again, 8k lead is great. But mid one's not too far behind. Moon's also not too far behind. That deficit's just because Raging Potato is as poor as the support. So the 8k is still slightly misleading, and that is with the Doom anyway. So SMG are actually playing this patience game well. Neon needs to find some objectives here. They need to take some tier 2s, they need to start pressuring high ground while SMG's still a bit weak.
Oh, Ravage out, they found Mamang Daya. He ran right into Roger and he is gone. They completely wipe him off the map. And that's what you wanted to see here from SMG. Zabeng, tanking a lot of damage on this Enchantress, is going to be able to make it out. But they've already got the mid laner of OB.Neon, and that'll put a stop to whatever OB.Neon was planning. Even with this Aegis up, in fact, Afu, he found Enryu once again on this Doom. The charge is there. BKB pop, but they can go right through it with the Spirit Breaker. Enryu, he'll pop the Doom out onto Raging Potato, but is it going to matter? I mean, you might get the kill, but no, it denies there mid one. Ends up denying that golden XP away from OB.Neon. Another great set of kills here for SMG, John. You've got to be careful as OB.Neon not to give these kills away.
You can't afford to give them away. Just because you're such on a sensitive timing with this Drow lineup, you need to be able to just group together, take a team fight if you can, mainly take the objectives. You want to shut down this map even more, you want to pressure the high ground, you want to get the objective advantage as soon as possible. Because as SMG goes towards that late game, the combinations start to come out. It will be an E-Blade first for mid one, so looking for that burst potential before going for the Ags plays. But again, the scaling towards late game is looking a lot better for SMG. There's still the potential for
Oh,
the blink
Roger.
on Roger. Whoa.
Yeah, poor old Roger. Basically just got one shot by the Kunkka. The double damage Mamantai. Obviously he's going to be dishing out quite a bit of damage. Has the Arcane Rune as well, so they could try to force a fight with that Aegis still intact. It's going to be a little bit concerned because now mid one has taken over that net worth board.
Dire's top tower
Still
is under
Palos.
attack.
Work on towards that top tier 2 tower. It's going to be no problem for him. He'll take it out for free. SMG not in a position where they really want to try and force fights yet. The outpost will be taken now, but to be fair to SMG, there's no real Roshan to play for as they've already got the Aegis. So you're kind of okay with that outpost going the way of OB.Neon for now. You've already lost the objective you would have got with that outpost.
Yeah, and they're not playing that area anyway. They've done a great job on SMG to just switch gears, playing bot. It's been a while since Neon really went in that area, and every single time they do, it's either Enryu or Narman getting picked off there. So they've got an area on the map to actually still farm up on. There are still ways to defend here. Ravage is still up for SMG. Blink's not too far off for Roger, but he might get picked off here.
He may, but the Fisher is there to try and help out. Roger, still pretty tanky even as that pos 5, but not when Palos is involved. They want to keep going. Oh, OB.Neon not going to be able to find another target. However, TP's are in, and Roger, he does have buyback. Still Palos will keep going onto that tier 2 mid tower, but Moon's jumped in. Nether Strike, it's going to be illusioned off. His Raging is already dropping very low on that breaker. And Roger with the buyback is now completely trapped up, so they have to rush for the fight. Ravage is going to get on 4 heroes as Enryu. He's already gone. Palos is falling low, and that'll be the Aegis life. They might lose Raging, and they will. They can keep this fight going as Palos just trapped up in Arfu. Once again, locking him down. Mamangtai, the next target here for SMG, but he'll BKB TP out of there, and he's going to be just fine. Can they find any more?
Radiant's
Not quite. SMG, that'll be enough. But 2 pretty big targets for themselves. You've got to be happy with that.
Where are you going?
Yeah, you can see Afu still trying to chase Abeng. Can't get the right clicks off, but he's going to have some backup soon.
Yeah, he should have enough eventually. Just watching deer hunting in slow motion here, John. Oh, never mind, Narman. He's going to intercept and interrupt. Poor old Arfu looks to have no way out of this, though he does have Fisher up. Committed onto Narman, but now the X is there from Among Dire, and that'll ensure his death. But now, well, Narman's going to go down. You've got to question whether that's really worthwhile here for OB.Neon. This Moon, he'll go back for a ping now. A bang.
Charge.
TP out. Bash. No, not going to make it in time. You're acting like it was a guaranteed bash, John.
No, I mean, the charge was right there. He was just a pixel away from getting that charge lined up. Very lucky of Abeng, but was it worth it for Neon? Probably not. Like, the Shaker is a very low net worth target. Again, if you consider it, Narman is still ahead of Raging in terms of net worth. So you're happy enough killing off the Weaver, sacrificing the Shaker to get that done. The lead of Neon's dropping here, Mike. It went from around 10k down to 7 to 6, kind of bouncing around there. Mid one is still number 1 in net worth, but the E-Blade going for the Ag. So we're about to reach that point, Mike. Can you play up against Morphling Ags, Spirit Breaker, Morphling Ags, Earthshaker? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Palos is going to be really exposed with all of that mobility on SMG. Your net worth lead is very, very misleading. I think Neon has to understand that. They need to take good fights and go for objectives here, because the timing's almost up.
Oh, nice smoke break there by Roger. Mamang Dai is going to keep having a look around on this Conker, see if he can find anyone. In fact, they have eventually found the Tide. Roger, he is going to go down, and he has no buyback, as Mamang Dai needs one swing of that sword to get it done. They found the pos 5 Tide, and again, no buyback's going to be available for Roger. They should be able to at least work on towards that tier 2 mid tower now. However, top lane, Moon has been spotted towards the north, but Narman will be on the chase and Enryu will follow. The Doom is up and available, but Moon will have another blink up in just a second. And they actually completely halt that tier 2 mid tower going down. At least for now, but Enryu will have another blink up soon, but won't bother trying for it. They've lost vision. However, shotgun's out, a bang. Oh, I think mid one may have gone a bit too far here, John. He's been
Palos.
doomed up. Meanwhile, Palos, though, he's been caught out as well, but he's still surviving himself on the Drow as he does actually get Arfu down, and mid one is going to die to Enryu. Raging Potato, he's going to try and charge in and salvage some of the situation, but it's only getting worse. It only gets worse for SMG as they even lose another.
Alright. That was way too split up from the side of SMG. They kind of split their forces up north and up on the triangle, trying to kill off Palos and the rest of the team. They need to play as a team. And they need to be together for that. They didn't even have Roger around with a Ravage threat. So a big swing there for Neon. This should give them the opportunity to get more objectives. They need to find those objectives. SMG's high ground is decent enough. You've got some good counter control here from Neon, though, especially on the Kunkka. So there are ways to mitigate that. Lots of pressure on Roger on the defense to kind of get a good Ravage here, along with Afu and perhaps a Slam, or at least a good Fissure block. We'll see if they can get that done. But there is a lot of time here for Palos to rip through a tier 3.
There is, and he's already through it. The melee barracks they go, OB.Neon. Game 2, doing very well for them thus far. No, Ravage is there though. Roger gonna try and blow up that main target, but he gets the BKB off in time. They haven't got the follow-up of mid one as he just respawned up, so Roger, a bit early on the trigger, is gonna drop and Raging. Well, going in pretty early himself, but Arfu's jumped in. Fish is there, Palos. He does Manta and try to run. Mid one, can he get the damage out in time? Moon, he's gonna try Palos, somehow still alive, but finally ends up going down. Nevertheless, mid one, he is in a pretty difficult scenario here as Enryu is gonna follow up. Mid one dropping, but waveform away. He might barely survive as Arfu again with the Fisher. Gonna trap into, and that should be Enryu dead along with Narman, who is gonna try and Sakuchi himself out of this, but will not make it. They will find him. The creep wave does follow him up in the tree line. That's a 4 for 3 going in the favor of SMG.
I mean, it was a bit messy to start with, as you pointed out, Mike. The Ravage was a bit early, but they still managed to play off the back of it really well. They were forced to buy back on Afu, but they save mid one. He finds a couple of big kills. The Ags is coming online soon, Mike. That should fix a lot of the issues here for SMG, and Roshan's only about 20 seconds away. Now, that still lines up with Neon's respawns, so they can't actually fight in that area, but SMG are making the most of this time, taking that mid-tier 1, pressuring the tier 2, and again, finding these item spikes for mid 1. Like, with the Ags flying in, how well will mid 1 charge around? We've got to see, but Neon, they've got that 8k lead. They have an 8k lead with 2 heroes on the top not being their own. It still boils down to the deficit of Raging Potato, but I don't think it matters at this point. It hasn't mattered for a while how poor that Spirit Breaker is, because he's still doing his job. You take the top tier 1, they know Roche is up, they're going for it.
Yeah, seatbelts on, ladies and gentlemen, as we've got the double charge coming out now from SMG. In fact, never mind that, we've got the Earthshaker form for now, John. The classic, I like to call it. That they do have either option, deciding, depending on which one they want as they jump in on Mamang Daya. Double Fish is there, but the Doom is out. Mid one's been caught up, and well, Palos, he can get right to work on this Morphling, but he is strength morphing as Raging's going to charge in and try to help out, but they've got the Morphling down. Mid one and Moon both to drop as now the Echo Slam out from Hafu. It's still not going to be enough. There's just no follow-up to it. They can just keep chasing down SMG. One by one, they will drop. The only survivor left is Moon, and he just fought back. A real disaster here for SMG, but another great team fight for OB.Neon.
Man, SMG is just kind of jumping the gun here. Bit trigger happy. Mid one jumps in first. With that Shaker form, he doesn't respect the fact that there is a Doom. He does not have a Linken's. They can clear him out really fast. And they just surrender Roshan. It was already very low. Palos has the Aegis. Palos has the Shards, with the Frost Arrows now applying that Hypothermia stack. So even more to play with. In SMG, they don't have buybacks. Respawns are short. And you can still hold high ground. They can't get Mega Creeps yet, as its bot tier 1 still stands for SMG. But SMG has made this game tougher for themselves. Like, that could have been their swing back. Now they're playing on the back foot once more. The push from Palos is going to go exceptionally fast. At the least, there's a Fortify to stall out for those respawns. Roger still does have the Ravage. They just need to find an angle, need to find a way to deal with those 2 lives here.
AC up on Mamang Daya. Moon try and slow the Kunkka down a little bit as Raging Oh, they're going to try onto Palos. He still has the Aegis up, but he's out of position. Bit of an awkward one here now for OB.Neon. Roger, though, is going to end up going down, but he'll buy back. Palos, he's popped the BKB, but he's going to just force-staff his way out of there. They do manage to protect the mid-racks for now, as Roger is back in and another nice fish around. Has caught Palos. He's still running, still trying. The charge up from Raging, locking so many down. But where's the damage? There it is, mid one with the enchant totem gets it done, as they'll go for a bit more now. Back in onto Mamang Daya. They'll get rid of the Kunkka to boot. Sonic Wave out from Moon. The Fisher again connecting, this time on Enryu. Mid one, he might eventually die, or maybe not, as the Bang is still trying. But look at that damage output, mid one. He's on an ultra kill now. And he would have had a Rampage John if anyone was left to kill. But nobody is left from OB.Neon.
Well, what a great hold from SMG. Lining up again. Their respawns were just on point for that one. Very in line with each other. So they managed to get in, get their bodies forward, kill off Palos twice. And Neon have to really respect that. Like, they are ahead. They tried to go for the right play. You know, they need these objectives to fall while they're still strong. SMG just had the execution to kind of pull that off. Like, how do you fight against double Fisher spam like that? The Fishers flying everywhere, the Ag Shard and Afu providing more stun as well. No Shard yet in mid one, but if he gets that as well, even more reverberations there. And the side of SMG clear out the tier 2. They're going to go high ground, going for a bit of revenge. They do not have mid one with them, so this push process is slower. Respawns are short. Neon might be able to make a good high ground counterfight here as well, considering there's no Ravage on Roger anytime soon. So let's see how much SMG can get away with. Looks like they might be able to get away with at least the melee racks, possibly the whole set.
They're going to try and rush it now with this double damage rune, and it won't be any problem here for SMG. And I feel like this is the promised land that TNC just never got to, John. I mean, you saw the Morph Shaker, you saw the Morph Spirit Breaker from TNC, but did they ever have both in one draft, John?
Oh,
it doesn't. I can't remember. SMG, they've experimented here, Jonathan. It's working out.
Oh, yes. Can you imagine if you had Morphling, Spirit Breaker, Shaker, and Dark Willow? Then you have it's everything you'd want, you know?
Wow.
You'd have the Dark Willow form as well if you'd want that machine gun coming through. I mean, it's insanity and so much options for mid one. I can see why he is prioritizing the Shaker form, though. It's the fissures. It's the control. It's way too much control coming out, way too much patching issues here for OB.Neon, especially for Palos. Once you cut off that Drow, she is a sitting duck in the middle of these engagements. And even with that turnaround from SMG, there is still that 5k lead on Neon. I hate picking Guy. It's really just, I have to emphasize it because it's so misleading. Because it's only because Raging Potato is very, very poor in the Spirit Breaker. But we're at the point where it doesn't matter, Mike. He has a BKB. He's 1,000 gold away from the Ags. It doesn't matter he's just barely above Narman's Weaver because he has the items he needs. So the net worth's really out of the window. 37 to 22. SMG managing to hold on after a very rough start to this game. And now the issue is, 35 minutes in, can a Drow close this out against the Morphling? Can your Doom jump the Morphling every single time? Because they've got Lincoln to toss out onto mid one. He's got his own protection now. It's going to be harder to pin him down with that. So Neon has to coordinate as a team to deal with that issue here.
4-man smoke, John. Raging, he's baiting, getting that information for the team as they do make their way over. They are still quite a whiles away, though, and in fact, mid one does break his own smoke, so perhaps they don't want to go for the fight. Still slowly moving, but Roger will spot them out, and neither one wants a bar of each other. They do have the Ags up now, though, on Raging, so perhaps that's what they were waiting for. So now you have that very, very fast charge. Just upgraded the engine of the Spirit Breaker. Very, very nice. It's SMG. I'm sure they'd love to fight now. So OB.Neon, they'll back off back towards the base. So they're not feeling quite safe at the moment. And, well, quite frankly, John, I can't blame them. Very scary times here.
Yeah, it could go either way. Like a good Doom, a good Torrent boat can just set up here for the side of Neon. They've also got the Ag save now running on Narman. So time-lapse back onto Palos, onto Mamang Daya, onto Enryu can be big. I think that does make these fights a lot more complicated as well for SMG. So lots of tools for both sides to play this game. The next rush still a ways off. I think that's the objective, to dictate what happens next. We're still about 2 minutes, 20 seconds away from finding out that respawn. So just more time to build up. And in that sense, this does favor the side of SMG. Their cores are a lot greedier. They will be enabled by that farm. They will go for a smoke play once more, though.
We'll try. So mid one has just about 1,000 damage right now with that enchant totem, just so everyone's aware. Pretty standard, though, I'd say. Nothing too special with the Morpheus combination. You know what would make Morphling even better, John? What if you could morph into 2 different heroes at the same time? Like, we'd make Morphling like an Invoker, almost.
What's wrong with you? No.
Well,
That,
I mean, people are complaining about the meta, John. Be an interesting way to change it up.
That would be interesting. I think I would like that. That would be a fascinating way to go about it. You know what would be better? What if you just removed the cooldown and morph? There you go. Just turn into every hero at once.
Careful how loud you say that, John. You never know who's watching. You never really know.
God, I hope no one listens to me, Mike. You know this. You barely listen to me, so it's all good.
Very true. Very true, John. OB.Neon. They're going to go through the top lane.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
It's very hard to know how to breach this high ground now. Roger,
Ooh, Roger.
That's so much damage, Roger. He's going to go down raging. He tried to help out, but it's all too late. Now he's been doomed up, but the Fisher traps him in, but he's going to try and help out. Sonic Wave connects on 3 heroes with the refresh moon, looking for another angle. Where is it, though? He's not going to find it. Mid one, being chased down by Enryu. He's going to be able to bounce his way out of there. Roger. Just a little bit too close to the Drow, and Palos, he just punishes so easily.
Okay, he's got so much damage. There's not much durability on our Kunkka here. Nothing to really pad out his HP or even give him a little bit of armor to ride through the barrage coming out from the Drow. So good play coming out from Neon to punish. That did force out Doom usage from them, though. And they don't have a refresh on Enryu. So there's actually a pretty big window here where SMG could look to play. They don't have Echo Slam themselves, but that's a shorter cooldown. They still have Ravage to play with. They still have the Sonic Wave for the AoE. I think SMG can actually look to be aggressive off the back of that. Even though they're the ones who lost the hero, there's no Doom to worry about.
Radiant are strong.
Moon. Blink right in. Mamang Daya, though, looking for the Torrent. Almost finds him, but the Fishers are there. He's blocked in with the V-Trap. And the charge in from Raging. Sonic Wave out. Just so much damage being thrown, but Mid-one's down to Palos. He'll buy back. He'll TP right back to his team. But the fight's already over.
Oh, boy. That is massive for the side of Neon. They just ignored Palos. He got shoved away from the fissures, and he just got the damage off. You have to put yourself on top of that route to prevent that damage from coming through here. Roger again.
Morph right now for mid one, Roger. Oh, never mind. Mamang Daya, he gets bursted down by mid one, and now the Ravage comes out, though it only lands on 1. So Ravage kind of whiffed there, landing onto a bang, but nobody is able to follow up. OB.Neon, they maintain that 7k net worth lead, and they'll maintain the area around the Roshan pit.
It's going to be a really short respawn left on the Roche. 15 seconds away. They're playing under good obs from Neon, so they know the position here of SMG. They can look to punish out here.
Oh, nice X out. Roger has been caught, and looks like he is set to fall once again as the boat fleet is coming in. He will buy back, but he has no Ravage available. They are still going to try and force the fight. Charge in onto Mamang Daya. A big Tidebringer hit, though. Raging is just going to drop. They can't underestimate the damage of Palos, but Narman. Lee's gonna follow as mid one now. He'll morph into that Earthshaker. A bang. He'll be taken out, no problem. And Roshan has respawned. As Raging, he'll charge right in after the Doom. Fisher is there. Nether Strike out. Palos has been caught, but he'll get the BKB in time. But he does not want to man fight mid one right now. He just wants to back his way out. He'll refresh, but no, it's not going to be good enough. Arfu found him once again. That'll be Palos gone. As now they're onto the Doom. They'll probably find another. Enryu. He's down.
Buybacks.
No buybacks. Oh boy.
Oh.
Here we go again, John.
It's they had Doom. They couldn't get off on a good Doom target, so he didn't manage to use Doom before dying. He doesn't have buyback. It's not going to make a difference now, and that's tier 4s. There's nothing else for them to play for. I mean, they don't have the side lanes because of tier 2 stand.
boy, oh boy, Mamangtaya just takes down Roger in an instance. Poor old Roger just can't catch a break. You saw how much damage that was.
Oh,
and,
no.
well, they found Mamangtaya though. Bit of revenge. The time lapse is there to save Raging. We're trying to get himself out, but it does go down to a bang. They're still looking for Mamangtaya, but those Tidebringer hits are really starting to add up and hurt. Mid one, I'm not sure about that, sir.
What? They have no buybacks. No,
They have no buybacks.
What's happening?
What is happening?
They just
What the hell just happened?
they ran into Mamangtaya. He's got damage. He's got a break. What is going on, SMG? They split up. They go very deep. They don't respect the time lapse. Roshan is up, but Neon is just gonna go for the kill. I think they sent it. Nah, they're gonna go for Rosh. They're gonna go for the safe play. That's gonna buy a little bit of time for SMG. That's only gonna buy the respawn out of their tide. So Roger's gonna be up so much time before you get the Morphling back up. I am just so bewildered by that. Like, that is Roche number 3. There's a free Ags on the pool. Abang picks it up for now. I feel like you just give that to Mamangtaya to get the Torrent Storm up and running. And it looks like they might hand it off later on, but this defense from SMG, Mike, it's got to be crisp. Because the towers just melt to Palace. He's got a lot of damage on hand already, and it's not going to take long to rip through the racks. I'd say stop wasting time in that. Just go straight for the tier 4s.
Pings are out. They are pinging those tier 4 towers. 2 up for the side of SMG to try and defend with, but it's a rather hard defense to try and hope for. They are going down fast, those tier 4s. OB.Neon may have been able to pull off this victory, but they are still sneaking around Moon. He pops the BKB, and now the Ravage does connect onto 2 heroes. A Sonic Wave will be committed. How about another Moon? He'll throw the second one out, but he needs to blink out if the chase is on by Palos, and there goes Moon. No buyback available. They'll call it.
My
OB.Neon
God.
successfully forces to a game number 3. And what a way to end, John. No buybacks.
That fight in the high ground. Just Mamangtaya and Norman with a time lapse back, and they stalled out like, what? My mind is blown. My mind is blown because, again, you know, Neon, they were holding on to a net worth lead just because Raging Potato was really poor. They kind of can't do anything against the Morphling down line, and then suddenly they go all in to kill off Mamangtaya instead of retreating and kind of maybe resetting before coming back in, and they just get severely punished. Like, off the back of that set of no buy. You gotta save for buybacks, guys. This is the second time we've seen it. Save for your buybacks if you take a fight like that. It was on knife's edge. Neon do manage to play out really well in the end. Mamangtaya cleaning up, giving them that opportunity was excellent. You're seeing how much Neon has improved to bring such a good fight against SMG. We should be in for a great game 3, Mike.
I'm looking very forward to it, John. Of course, we are going to have to head off to a short break, and right after that break, we'll be back with our panel to see if they know what happened in this game number 2.